right, thank you guys for joining Word of the Day Wednesdays. I am author Nicole D. Miller of When Love Wins. And as you guys know, every week I tap in and talk about my weekly blog. This week's blog was When Giants Walk the Earth. So in this blog, I pay homage to our ancestors. You guys should know it is Black History Month. Now, we celebrate our ancestors every day, but nationally, we celebrate them in the month of February. So I was inspired to write about some information I found out about my great grandmother, who was an RN, an LPN. She was like a boss. She had 4 kids. She owned a home with her husband. And then on top of that, she had the nerve to co-own a nursing home. I'm like, okay. Like doing the most, but it was so encouraging to know that that same DNA was in my bloodstream, and that's part of the reason why I'm like a go-getter, because people before me were doing this. So that was so encouraging. And I did get a little convicted because I recently released an article called A Legacy of Hope, and I highlight Teen Enterprise. So Teen Enterprise is an organization here in Cleveland. They help train up inner city kids to be entrepreneurs, founded by my good friend Tori Coates. And I've been volunteering there, and I love the kids. They have such a great heart. So I did an article for The Land, a nonprofit paper here in Cleveland. And I also infused a story highlighting Zelma Watson George. So Zelma Watson George was a Black champion, advocate for the youth, women empowerment, all the things, United Nations. She taught at Tri-C. She was a boss, like 1920s, before her time, killing it. And it wasn't until I learned this additional information about my great grandmother that I knew Holy Spirit was like, you up here highlighting, these people over here, but you got this going on in your own family. And so, of course, I'm connected to Zelma Watson George just through our African ancestry, but even in my own family. So I wanted to honor my great grandmother, and I'm so glad I got that opportunity to do so in this blog. The other thing I talk about in this blog is Garrett Morgan and how I learned about him at a young age. He was actually the creator of the traffic light, and he's a Black man. But the issue was that I had to go outside of school to learn about him. So I don't know how the things are going now with the education system because I don't have kids, but I do know back in the day, my grandmother initiated me learning about Black history outside of school so that I could learn my history. And he's one of those names that stands out for me. And on top of him inventing the traffic light, he actually is the first Black man in Cleveland to own a car. So, dude was killing it. So I talk about all that when giants walk the earth, but I think the important thing that we can gain is looking back at our ancestry and knowing the opposition and circumstances that they overcame and how they were still able to manifest legacy and fulfill their purpose and calling, even in spite of those things. And more recently, I shared about another Black woman who was killing it. Her name is Phyllis Wheatley. And she actually is the first Black author. So she released a book of poems in 1773. Even though she was a slave, but her owners saw her brilliant mind and they gave her education to learn to read and write. And as a result, she was able to book publish. Now, the sad part is she still faced a hard life. She died prematurely at age 31 due to poverty and difficult circumstances. But it's so inspirational to see her transcend her circumstances and what she was dealing with her gifting. And I think that what I've learned is there's so many people in my bloodline who had the gift, who had these amazing innate callings to do certain things, but laws prevented them from doing them, but man prevented them from doing them. And when that happens, the gifts get passed down from one generation to the next until it finds a person that it can manifest itself through. And I feel like that is part of my calling with writing. I remember years ago sitting actually at my desk working at the organization will remain nameless, but I was working as a bookkeeper. And I had the epiphany, and I knew Holy Spirit was saying, Nicole, so many people in your bloodline did not get the chance to read and write. You have this gift for them. It's to tell their stories. And Black people have been telling stories since the beginning of time. And people of indigenous cultures, like we are just natural storytellers, Black and brown people. Sadly, with African Americans, that right was stripped from them. So now is the time. Now is the time for those of us who have the torch now to manifest what they couldn't or continue manifesting what they started, as is the case of my great grandmother. All right, so that was a lot. If you want to learn more, go to NicoleDMiller.com. As you guys know, we are dropping Girl Talk. Girl Talk is happening, okay? Sunday, save the date, March 24th, 6 to 8. We are at Unbar. They are sponsoring us. We are so excited. Yes, yay. Go to Eventbrite to get your ticket, $5, okay? You cannot beat it. Also, $5 drinks, still a good deal. And really phenomenal women are going to be chatting with us. So they're all healthcare gurus, very learned experts in the industry. The topic is health and wholeness, which we need greatly in our communities. So tap in. If you don't know where to go to Eventbrite, type in Girl Talk. Or you can go to my Linktree. Even better, subscribe at NicoleDMiller.com to stay abreast of all of my events and all the things I'm doing. All right, so I'm going to head out because I do have an event that I'm going to, hence I'm a little jazzy right now. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you next week at Word of the Day Wednesdays.